In order to manage our cash game sessions in kHold'em, we can automatically open a cash game session via the check-in tab and clicking cash check-in. This will open the session from this moment onwards. You can use a league or a VIP rule for earning VIP points. Once we click finish, we see the stakes that we have created already. In order to activate a stake so players can go on to waiting lists or register via the Poker Lens app, we just click the play button. If all stakes do not need to be shown, and to avoid confusion, we can click the drop down menu and we can only show active stakes. Here we can activate 1-2 PLO, and now we see both stakes in our active stakes drop down menu. Here we can subscribe players to our games a very similar way we would do so with tournaments. We can create a new player profile, but first we will open a table in 1-2 No Limit Hold'em. Here we could change the stakes, or we can create new stakes. It's asking for a table number. Here, if we do not put a table number in, it will start with 1 and move upwards. We have 3 different status for the table that we are going to open. The first one is table is active and ready to check in. Any players that go onto a table of this status will be liable for paying rake immediately. Our second option is table is only opened for subscription. This is commonly used when gathering players or awaiting a dealer for the table. And our third option is table is active for manual check-in. This is commonly used for private games or VIP tables that a player cannot register themselves to directly. If you have a device which will manage the table, you can click and connect the device via this window once it has been already linked. And if you wish to leave a note for the table, you can do so here. Once the table is opened, we see the number of default seats that we've set in the stakes button, and we can alter the device which should be connected to the table here. We can also see the table management features by clicking our settings. We can change it to a manual seat. Note how the color blue is surrounding the table number for a table that's open and ready for check-in. If we change to a manual seat, it will change to an orange colored number. We can also change the stake to any of the other stakes that are available to play in the poker room, or we can edit the table number and the device via this window. Lastly, if the table requires being closed, we can do so via this button. We can collect the rake and then check out all the players from that table. While on your cash check-in window, you can also double click on any of the stakes in order to edit the stakes settings. We can also see the different pieces of information related to the stakes. Once we choose the correct stake and we are on the tables tab, we can see all tables in this specific stake and the device connected to each table. We can then choose the players tab. Here we will see a list of all players who are currently playing, shown by the green circle, and who have been checked out, showing by the red circle, and a list of different pieces of information related to said players. The history tab will show all pieces of information which has been related to specific players. If we have permitted inside the edit stakes button, if we allow hand recording, all of these hands will be shown in the hands tab. For the purchase of stacks, we will see all purchases made here. Any tips that have been given by players in this stake will be seen in the tips tab. And payment shows chips and stacks and tips which have been purchased and the corresponding amounts. And lastly, the notifications tab will show any notifications that have been sent to players specific to this stake. kHold'em can manage some of the different administrative requirements for players in your poker room. We can do so by finding the player within the correct stake and table. Here we can go to the player and we may click the blue pencil. The manage button will allow us a lot more options, which we will explain in due course. Below, we can change a player's seat. We can check out the player. This is commonly used when a player has finished playing on that cash game table. We can sit out or sit out long. These are the breaks that we have pre-specified while creating the stakes. And we can lock seat and set priority. These functions are similar to when a player or when we wish to manage the tables in our tournament feature. We can also set the tables to be viewed in the matrix. Here, if we wish to manage the player, we can click on the pencil and choose the manage function. We can also double click on the player's details to get to the same window. The window we see is similar to the window for players in tournament management and check-in. Our register button will update if we choose to put a player on a waiting list for a different game. Register and print will print the player's current ticket for which they are playing. Checkout has been explained when a player is finished playing on that table, and we can also change the seat from this player's window. Edit member will allow us to change the player's profile details, and deposit and withdraw will also allow us to deposit the player's wallet and withdraw from it accordingly. Here we have an add chips button. This is commonly used when a player has purchased chips from a different department in the casino, such as the cash desk, and they wish to add chips to the cash game. We use this to track chips in and chips out in order to show the player profit or loss. We can add a break to the player by clicking this button and setting the duration that the break will be for. We can also add a tip if the player gives a staff member one and the method of payment for this tip. Adding stack will be used when a player is purchasing the chips from the cash game area. We can set the method of payment they use and how much in chips they wish to purchase. Cash out will be the opposite of add stack if they are selling back some of the chips which they have in their possession and what method of payment they wish to receive. We can also check different functions, so a list of the history to do with this player. We can see all breaks that the player has taken. Chips in will show any chips that have been added to the table. We can populate this field from the add chips window, and you can see the chips that got added in order to show profit and loss for a specific player. Stacks will show any amount of times they have purchased the chips. Tips show that which they have given to staff members. Our rake will show when they have paid rake accordingly in the timed rake section. Cash out is when they have received cash back for some of their chips. And notifications will display any notifications sent to the player.